Welcome to Friday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast. The Chief Constable of Kent Police defends their record on protecting women as the force faces scrutiny over Met Officer Wayne Couzens.
Protect yourself doubly this winter. The message as we're warned flu and COVID could be a lethal combination.
Also tonight, keeping a watch on the southeast coastline, the little-known story of the Spitfires of the sea.
And the stars of RuPaul's Drag Race tell us what really counts when putting on a show.
I love the girls here. I love their personalities. That's the thing that I know most about the UK girls. They have so much personality.
Good evening to you. Just 1 week after Wayne Couzens from Kent was jailed for life for the murder of Sarah Everard, the county's chief constable has defended his force's role in protecting women. Alan Pewsley also said all police officers would be heavily vetted before being employed.
Mr Pewsley was speaking at the opening of a new museum in Faversham, looking at the history of Kent Police. Tom Savides has our report.
The legacy piece of the policing family.
He may be looking back at the history of Kent Police.
Only men could be police officers when it first started.
But the Chief Constable, Alan Pewsley, is keen to show that his force is forward-thinking when it comes to women.
Now we have over 2,000 female police officers and staff doing it.
Mr Pewsley tells me violence against women will not be tolerated. Policing has changed over the past 150 years. What changes are you putting in place now to ensure that something like the murder of Sarah Everard doesn't happen again?
So we're reviewing, of course, as you would imagine, all things that we do from a vetting perspective to start with. We're one of the best, if not the best, forces in the land with our vetting procedures, but it's right and proper we look at that. I'm arranging 13 public engagement meetings, one in each policing area, over the next 3 to 4 weeks, to do exactly what you've just asked me, tell the public what we're doing. Violence towards women and girls has been and will always be a priority in my police force.
Met Officer Wayne Couzens from Deal was given a whole life sentence for abducting Sarah Everard in London before killing her and burying her body in Woodland near Ashford. Can you ensure that someone like Wayne Couzens doesn't slip through the net in your force in the future?
So I can ensure and promise the public we will do absolutely everything we can to make sure that never happens. That's the purpose of our vetting procedures.
Kent County Constabulary, as it was first known, was formed in 1857. Our society and communities have changed a lot since then. The police want to show that they are also moving with the times.
I think it's incredibly important to have people come from all backgrounds into policing. I think it helps build trust and confidence in policing, that it is reflective of the communities that we serve. And in Kent in particular, there are a tremendous number of opportunities for progression and development for everyone who joins the organisation. So I think it's a very positive thing.
This museum documents the history of Kent Police through the 1800s to the present day. Officers these days face many challenges, from antisocial behaviour to violent crime. But one issue they're keen to address is regaining the trust of the public. Tom Savides, ITV News, Faversham.
A 67-year-old man from Sussex has admitted responsibility for the killings of 2 women more than 3 decades ago. With the latest in our newsroom is Tony Green. Tony.
Well, Maidstone Crown Court has been told that David Fuller, a 67-year-old electrician from Heathfield in East Sussex, has admitted killing Wendy Nell, who was 25, and Caroline Pearce, who was 20. The women died in Tunbridge Wells in 1987. Wendy Nell was the manager of Super Snaps on Camden Road. Her body was found dead in her ground floor bedsit in Guildford Road in June 1987 after failing to turn up for work. Caroline Pearce was attacked 5 months later outside her home in Grosvenor Park. The 20-year-old worked at Buster Brown's restaurant, also on the Camden Road. She had last been seen at about midnight on November the 24th when she was dropped off by a taxi. Her body was found by a farmer on the Romney Marsh some weeks later. The killings became known as the Bedsit murders and is one of the largest investigations in Kent police history. Fuller has denied murder and his trial will begin on November the 1st.
Tony, thank you.
A man's pleaded not guilty to the murder of police community support officer Julia James. Callum Wheeler, who's 21, from Aylsham in Kent, pleaded not guilty at Maidstone Crown Court this afternoon. A trial date is yet to be set. Julia James was found dead in fields near her home last April.
A nursing home for people with disabilities in Sussex has closed after inspectors labelled it inadequate for a second time. Wisteria Lodge near Uckfield had been placed under special measures by the Care Quality Commission. Its owner, Sussex Healthcare, is currently under investigation by the police because of safeguarding concerns.
Bin lorry drivers in Brighton and Hove have announced a second two-week strike later this month. An initial strike began on Tuesday over proposed changes to their rounds. The newly announced action will begin 3 days after the first one concludes. The council says it hopes to find a solution.
Medway has missed out on its latest bid for the title of UK City of Culture. If the town's made the long list released today, it was set to receive £40,000. Those behind the bid say, although they're disappointed, they will use it as a springboard to develop Medway's cultural scene for the future.
So this was never just about the title, and it doesn't end with the bidding to be City of Culture. So this is about the potential of the area. We don't have to have it all sussed right now. It's about starting somewhere. We have got enormous amounts of culture here. So there is so much going on here, and the next 10 years and the cultural strategy is a really good opportunity to build on that.
Some of the nation's TV doctors have joined together to encourage people to get a free flu vaccine and COVID-19 booster vaccine ahead of the winter.
They've made a film as the government launches its biggest flu programme in history, with more than 40 million people eligible for the jab, including secondary school children up to 16.
Well, over now to ITV favourite, Dr. Amir Khan. Dr. Khan, good to see you. This is the first winter COVID and flu will circulate fully at the same time. So the message is, whatever you do, get your flu jab.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Last year, even though we had COVID, we had people social distancing, staying at home. So we saw very low levels of flu, which means that people won't have a natural immunity to the flu virus like we normally do each year. So we're expecting more people to be at risk of serious illness from flu, which is why it's really, really important that anybody who is eligible come forward for their flu vaccine to prevent serious illness into this winter period.
Research shows that those infected with both viruses are more than twice as likely to die as someone with COVID alone. Is the message getting across, do you think?
I think we've still got some work to get that message across. People still think that flu is a mild illness, but it does kill, on average, 11,000 people each year. And we're expecting that number to rise this year. If you combine that with COVID, that will increase further. The combination is certainly very deadly, and even healthy people can be at risk of becoming seriously ill. So not only should you be going forward for your flu vaccine, if you're eligible, go forward for your COVID-19 booster as well. And if you haven't had any of your COVID-19 vaccines, really please do book in for them as soon as possible.
And as you say, get that COVID booster vaccine as soon as it's offered.
Absolutely. We're offering it now. You may go for your flu vaccine and COVID-19 booster on separate appointments. You may get them at the same time. Either is fine. Whatever you're offered, take it up.
Dr. Amir Khan, good advice and good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And you are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you so much for watching us. Coming up,
what you can do for those around you as we get ready to mark World Mental Health Day this weekend.
And cutting a dash, stars of RuPaul's Drag Race get ready to strut their stuff as the show heads southeast.
And you can find more on today's top stories in our region throughout the day and evening on our website. Go to itv.com/Meridian. Call us on 0808 1010 095. Follow us, if you will, on Facebook and on Twitter.
This Sunday is World Mental Health Day, with this year's theme focusing on how to level up mental health inequalities.
Young people, those from low-income households and those from minority ethnic backgrounds are just some of the groups that are far more likely to struggle accessing mental health support. Amrit Birdie has more.
Access to mental health support can sometimes be determined by where we live or who we are, meaning not everyone gets the help they need. Research by NHS Digital shows last year 1 in 6 young people had a mental health problem, compared to 1 in 10 just 4 years ago. In Folkestone in Kent, there are charities encouraging young people to access mental health support.
I think the nervousness that we all feel about social interaction has increased levels of anxiety about social isolation. And for young people, that isolation has affected confidence and self-esteem. It's affecting low mood. It's adding feelings of uncertainty, despair and depression.
Charity Mind runs sessions like these to get children in schools talking about their mental health from an early age.
I think the more that we can empower schools and school staff to have those conversations, the better the outcomes are going to be for young people, and the earlier we can start those conversations.
We've got a Young Black Men's project that connects with barbershops, schools, community centres, hair shops, and has conversations in their own space where they feel safe.
Mental health inequalities also affect those from minority ethnic backgrounds, with black people 4 times more likely to be detained under the Mental Health Act than white people. Sandra Igwe set up the Motherhood Group to support black women through pregnancy and motherhood.
We don't really believe mental health services are for us or understand our needs as a black community, and therefore it's kind of outdated. It's not really adjusted to our requirements, and so for those of us who have tried it or do step forward and find the courage to say, do you know what, I need support, we just don't feel like it actually matches our reality.
We need to look at our entire system and the ways in which people are supported to have good mental health. We need to be investing in communities at a level where mental health gets made. And of course, we need to ensure mental health services are helping to offset rather than, as sometimes they do, to exacerbate some of those inequalities.
World Mental Health Day will be recognised by millions around the globe on Sunday, with mental health groups hoping it will shine a light on the reality of mental health in an unequal world. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
Let's hope it does shine a light. Well, next we're taking you back to the First and Second World Wars to highlight the work of servicemen here in the South East who were in a unit known as the Coastal Forces.
30,000 Marines form the Royal Navy Division, many deployed from Sheerness, Dover, Ramsgate and Newhaven. But their story is relatively unknown, as James Dunham explains.
The tough little customer of the Royal Navy.
At close range,
we fought the Germans and they fought us.
These boats and the men on board,
a whole load of young people that did an impossible task,
attacked.
Going out and doing these incredibly courageous things.
Sinking enemy convoys, defending Kent and Sussex shores.
You held hands when you're in action. And as soon as the skipper says, open fire, that's when you get a little bit of fear.
George Chandler from Haywards Heath joined the unit at 18. Of the 31 young men on board his boat, 21 died.
We hit this mine and it blew the bows off the boat. The oldest man on the boat, he was 29. I can see him now, standing there. The bows are just beginning to fill with water. And I can see him standing there, holding on to a stanchion, saying, "Don't panic, lads, we'll all get out." And I never saw him again.
Medusa was a defence vessel in the Second World War. She was there on D-Day guiding American troops to Ahama Beach.
It's incredible that this vessel is still seaworthy.
Yeah, she's quite a lucky ship. She was built in 1943 and she's now the last of 464 of these that's as original and fully operational. And she's exactly as built, still the original engines.
The engines were fired up for us and we were taken out on the water. There we see motor gun boat 81 in action, demonstrating the same speed as 80 years ago. The ability to travel quickly, the equivalent of 40 miles per hour, provided a huge advantage.
The southeast, is the epicentre really of coastal forces work in home waters.
The history of the servicemen on the coastal forces, it's relatively unknown.
It's very much an unsung story of the Second World War. Their only protection is their speed. They're fighting these actions that are over in 4 or 5 minutes. And most of them, at the end of the war, they go back to their civilian lives, which I think is one of the reasons why the story's not widely known.
Imagine, it is the dead of night, visibility is poor, but these small wooden boats went into attack heavily armed, carrying ammunition and explosives. The environment, dangerous and deadly.
1,500 coastal officers lost their lives. Their commitment is recognised at a new exhibition in Gosport in Hampshire. For George, a chance to reflect.
Do you have any regrets that you were part of the coastal forces?
Oh, no. I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't give up a second.
Power-operated gun turrets, depth charges and other weapons.
By the end of the war, coastal forces had fired more torpedoes than the submarine service and laid more mines than the Navy's dedicated mine layers. These tiny boats earning themselves the name Spitfires of the Seas. James Dunham, ITV News.
Next, it's the murder mystery that's coming to the southeast that promises to provide laugh-out-loud comedy and a lot of fun.
Yeah, stars of RuPaul's Drag Race series in America and here in the UK will be taking over Southend's Palace Theatre as the West End hit Death Drop begins its tour.
And just a warning, there are flashing images on the way as we sent Victoria Lampard to meet some of the cast and find out what audiences can expect.
It's 1991 and guests have arrived on Tuck Island for a dinner party like no other. Tensions rise as they reveal more about their suspicious pasts, and one by one they sashay away. Well, technical rehearsals are underway on the stage right now as the Palace Theatre in Southend prepares to welcome some of the biggest drag artists in the world. Two of them have taken a break from rehearsals for me. RuPaul's drag legends, WILLAM and Raja Ahara.
Hello.
Lovely to meet you.
Hello.
Welcome to Southend.
Thank you.
Your first impressions of the place?
Wet. Wet but fun, yeah.
So what could people expect from this murder mystery?
Oof, it's a good time. You know, everybody loves to laugh and they love music, and it's gag worthy, so we know CPR.
William, you were in the West End production. What does it mean to be bringing it here and taking it on tour?
It's nice to be able to bring it out to the people that couldn't make it to us in London because, you know, COVID restrictions were really tight then, and it's loosening up a little bit now. So we can take it all over the UK.
Raja, you're well known from the American series Drag Race. Have you had a chance to catch the UK version at all? What do you make of the talent here?
I have been catching up, and I love the girls here. I love their personalities. That's the thing that I know most about the UK girls. They have so much personality. It's not necessarily about what they're wearing, because the clothes, let's be honest, the fashion is not there, but it's all about personality and what they bring as queens and throughout their personality. So.
Well, I can see some of the costumes here from the show. They are great. And I hear you're very talented at making some of your own costumes.
I find inspiration a little bit of everywhere. Of course, Fashion Week and fashion shows, but also just out of my mind. I sketch and I draw. So I'm one of those people that love a great concept. So I always am doodling and dibbling and dabbling. Mm-hmm.
And Death Drop, a very good name for a murder mystery, but for those who watch Drag Race, they will be very familiar with what a death drop actually is. I mean, I can't get you to demonstrate right now in this floor on these heels, but can you tell me what it is for people that don't know?
Well, a death drop, as far as this show, is the way we die. It's just like one of those moves that came from the ballroom scene in New York City from back in the 80s and 90s. So we're bringing it to the show, and we're actually doing a few death drops throughout the
Lots of splits, lots of falling to the ground.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great to meet you. Thank you very much. Good luck with the tour.
Thank you.
Opening night of Death Drop is tomorrow, and it runs here in Southend until the 10th.
Victoria Lampard there. Well, that was colourful. And Pip, you've got something even more colourful.
I'm not sure it's quite as colourful as that, but I shall try. Now, of course, we're getting deep into autumn now, and one of my favourite things at this time of year is the changing colour of the leaves. Absolutely stunning. It's only just starting. It'll carry on right through the rest of October and November, but we're starting to get a few signs dropping into the weather inbox. So let's take a look at our first one this evening. This comes from Natasha Way as the hint of change on an oak tree here. Now, I'm no expert, but I think these slightly spiky leaves belong to the festively named Turkey oak. Now, there are 3 different pigments that give leaves their varying colours. Chlorophyll gives the lush greens, carotenes the yellows and oranges, and anthocyanins the reds and pinks. And we can see the anthocyanin really coming through in this picture from Roy Venkatesh. A stunning array of pinks and reds, a Boston ivy there. Viv Stewart sent us a really classic autumnal scene with the changing leaves already creating a colourful carpet underfoot. Colour has been working its way into Colin Lennox-Gordon's garden, courtesy of this creeper, and Judy Hewlett has been enjoying the rainbow of colour coming through on the ash tree in her garden in Sussex.
Lots of colour in those lovely photographs, but the weather, I'm not complaining because it's dry, but it's a bit grey, it's a bit drab.
Oh, it has been a bit grey the last couple of days. Thankfully, I think something a bit brighter tomorrow. Arguably tomorrow, the better day of the weekend, more in the way of sunshine. Sunday, perhaps a bit more of that grey stuff.
And temperatures?
Not too bad for October, but you know, it's Britain, it's a weekend, it's October. I think we could be doing a lot worse.
We could be doing a lot worse. It's going to be good news, I think. Let's find out. Here she is with your full forecast, the one and only Philippa True.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
A pretty quiet weekend of weather ahead then. Lots of dry weather in the forecast. Some sunny spells to be found and warm in the best of the sunshine, but still worth noting we will have a bit of mist and overnight fog to contend with. All thanks to high pressure. It's been with us today. That high pressure now edging away eastwards, but in its place another one building in fairly promptly from the south and west. But worth noting, this little cold front just sinking its way southwards on Sunday. It will provide a focus for a bit more cloud and just the outside chance of a little light patchy rain or drizzle. But out there at the moment, it's all looking pretty quiet to start the night. A bit of cloud first thing, but that will gradually move away westwards, and behind it, under clearing skies, it will become quite fresh. Temperatures for many of us dipping down into single figures, and that in turn giving rise to a little patchy mist and fog by dawn. But that will soon clear off the scene tomorrow, and really tomorrow looks like a very pleasant day. Much more in the way of sunshine than we've had over the last couple of days. Staying dry and with light winds, it shouldn't feel too bad at all. Temperatures still doing very well for the time of year. Highs tomorrow easily around 17 or 18 Celsius. These are the high tide times for tomorrow. Then for Sheerness, 3 in the morning, 12 minutes past 3 in the afternoon. And as we look ahead through the latter stages of Saturday and into Sunday, we finally see that cold front drifting its way southwards. So a bit more cloud, perhaps some patchy rain to come our way for a time on Sunday, but drier and brighter into the new week if feeling just a touch fresher.
Great Western Railway sponsors the ITV Meridian weather.
Here's an idea for your weekend. Time for a look at the latest episode of All Around Britain.
Yes, this Sunday, Rhea Hebden and Alex Beresford, rather like Philippa, have been enjoying the emerging autumn colours.
This week on All Around Britain, we are joined by our dogs to explore the beautiful Westonbirt Arboretum in Gloucestershire.
We'll be discovering what makes it one of the most important plant collections in the world and play our part in creating something special for future visitors.
Plus, we'll find out how hugging a tree could be good for you.
Also on the show this week,
the man celebrating his 80th birthday in Hartlepool by revisiting his childhood in an unforgettable way.
Oh, it's amazing, fantastic, really. Yeah.
These are tights, aren't they?
Just tights. We meet the self-proclaimed potty plotters, 2 women in Derby, passionate about helping people make the most of their allotments.
We're going to dangle that from anywhere where you keep your onions.
And we meet the team from Newport behind a new type of washing machine that's now helping people all over the world.
So join us, Ruby and Peaches on ITV at 11:55 this Sunday.
for another trip all around Britain.
Don't miss that, and don't miss this, because in just a moment it's the ITV Evening News with Charlene White.
Louise Lewis has got our late news just after 10:30, so join her if you can. Enjoy your weekend, take care, see you next week.
Happy weekend, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.